All right. I think it's time.
All right. The mirror ball is dropping.
The mirror ball?
Yeah.
The mirepoix?
Mirror ball.
You want me to make rice?
They get a mirror ball trophy.
Who's what?
The
who
winners
gets
of Dancing with the Stars.
Oh. Well, so in case you are new around here, we don't watch Dancing with the Stars, or I don't watch Dancing with Stars. I've never seen the show. Don't know how it's scored. Don't know if you can get eliminated. But we are amateur ballroom dancers. We have been since around 2012, 2011. And as it so happens that we have this crossover happening where some of the Bachelor alumni, specifically Joey, our last Bachelor, and Jenn, our last Bachelorette, are on Dancing with the Stars this season. And thus, as amateur ballroom dancers and as people who have a podcast related to the Bachelor Nation,
champion.
We actually
amateur
have to.
Ballroom
we
dancers.
Are champion. Yes, we've won some championships. Yes, yeah, absolutely, we have. That's a thing that has happened a long time ago when I was 20 pounds lighter and I didn't have a locked up spine, basically. So yeah, so we got to talk about it. We got to do some commentary, give our thoughts and opinions. The important thing to know here is that I don't know what you watch. We don't watch it together. I don't watch the judging. I have no idea what they get scored. I don't hear the judges' commentary. I literally just search out the dances. I watched a 1-minute clip on YouTube, and that's all I see. And I make my assessment based on what I see there. And you do whatever your process yours is. So
where do you want to start?
And one other thing to note is, obviously, you can't just do 2 contestants. We had to pick a third, and the third that we picked was Danny Amendola. Why Danny Amendola? Because I was born in Massachusetts, and thus I'm a New England Patriots fan, and that's just how we made this decision.
And, I'm not sad about it because I appreciate looking at Danny Amendola's abs.
I mean, jealous.
Yeah.
Which at least is something to be jealous of him about, other than his bank account and his abs, because you're not going to be jealous of his dancing skills. That is certain.
Let's start with him then.
Atrocious, right?
What?
Okay, let's start with Danny. Yes.
So it was dedication
first off,
night on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, is that the theme? Okay.
Yeah. He's not actually bullshitting you. He literally knows nothing.
I literally don't even know that there's theme nights. I know that there are dancers, and I simply YouTube the clips, watch the 1-minute videos. Usually I'll watch them twice. I watch it once, and then I'll watch it a second time with a more critical eye, and then I turn it off, write up my notes, and move on with life.
So his dedication was to his late football coach.
Okay. That's a nice dedication.
And he performed a contemporary dance to Unsteady.
Okay, so the theme of the night was not dedication. The theme of the night was songs that Chris at one point in time kind of liked and is now so sick of he never wants to hear again. These were all songs that have been played to death. I mean, literally played to death, to the point where if I have to hear them one more time, I want to stab like my eardrums with chopsticks. Okay. All 3 of these songs were the same for me. And at one point in time, I kind of liked each of the songs a little bit, at least a little, over them all. Anyway, so Danny's routine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First off, contemporary is not a dance. Okay.
It's not a ballroom dance.
It's not a dance. It's basically just lack of a dance. It's basically really just theater performance in a lot of ways. And I actually think that this was really smart, because I've been very critical of Danny in saying that he's not good with timing. He's really struggling with the steps. And so what do you do? Well, great. We'll just not have you dance on a dancing competition. We'll literally just put together a theater performance where you don't have to worry about timing anymore, really, and that there's no expectation.
It's about performance more than anything.
It's purely performance. Yeah. There's nothing really technical at this point to judge, because it's not a dance. And was it pretty? Yes. Were there some nice steps in there? Not really steps. Were there some nice, kind of lifts and tricks? Absolutely. But there was no dance. And that's what I'm most critical about, is like, it's a dancing competition. Frickin' dance. Don't give me contemporary nonsense to a song that I'm really burnt out on. You disagree?
I thought this was great. I thought he did a great job. I could tell that this was the most in the performance he's been, the least in his head he's been, the most comfortable he has seemed.
That's exactly what I wrote. I wrote, he looks the most comfortable this week of all of the weeks so far.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have to memorize steps.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. I mean, we know it's a lot,
Yeah.
and we've talked about it last week specifically. Like, this is a lot to learn a routine in a week,
Mhm.
and last week they had to learn two. Like, this is a big feat. And they spent hours doing this. Like, it's and not. I mean, he's a professional athlete, so it's not like he's not used to putting in a lot of physical work, but like the memorization of the routine. It's not only, this is where I get caught up. Like, I got the feet down. I can do that all day. Then you add in the arm styling, then you add in the shaping, then you add in just the actual performance. Like, it is so much. It's like doing this. I can't even do it. It's so hard. So I just want to say that for all of them. But for him specifically, like, he's out of the three of them struggled the most. He did a fantastic job. Whitney is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. That move where she was laying on the floor,
The
and I don't even
core
know
strength?
how she lifted herself up. That was
Yeah.
unreal.
Because here's the key: this step where he's basically pinning one foot, holding her other foot, and bringing her up gracefully like that. That's not Danny lifting her. That's Danny guiding her and her basically lift. She's doing 90% of that work, right? Because otherwise it looks really janky. She's falling over. Like, the core strength and the thigh strength to keep it unbelievable.
But I loved this for him. I wonder if this will give him more confidence going into the next week. I don't know what they're performing next week. But Danny did score 9s across the board.
Terrible judging.
He had along with Joey, high scores of the night.
Interesting. I mean, one counter to your...
He also looked fantastic.
He does look fantastic, yeah. So one counter to your point about having to learn a new routine every week. If anybody could learn a new routine in 1 week, I would expect it to be Danny Amendola. He was, again, a wide receiver on Bill Belichick's offense for the New England Patriots during the era of the dynasty, right? And here's the important thing to know about that is that the New England Patriots you have 1 week to prepare for your next opponent, and they were a game plan team. They were considered one of the most intellectual offenses, in the history of the league during that run. And they would literally install an entirely new offense. It's like every single week you'd basically say, forget everything we did in the past. We're looking at our opponent and we are going to put completely new plays, completely new schemes all in place in 3 days. And we're going to practice it for 2 days. And then we're going to have a day of rest. And then we're going to go perform. And that was what they did every single game for multiple seasons he was on the team. And so if anybody could get a routine down in 1 week, I would expect it to be Danny Amendola, just given what he went through as a wide receiver for the Patriots.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I'm so critical of him, because it just feels like, he's so athletic and he clearly is highly intelligent, and he's done this like pressure cooker memorization and practice in crunch time. And he has executed at the highest levels in one of the hardest sports out there. And that's why I'm so critical of him, because I think he could do so much better than he's doing.
Well, he did great this week.
Challenge.
Let's go to Jenn.
All right.
Jenn performed a foxtrot to The Archer, which is a Taylor Swift song. I don't know if you know this, but Jenn is a huge Swiftie.
Of course she is.
And
so basic.
One thing that she did throughout her season is every week on her Instagram, she would share which Taylor Swift song kind of characterized the episode. And that was like kind of like her Easter egg for what would happen on each episode. And so she actually dedicated her performance to Taylor Swift, which I felt like was a little bit lame.
Yeah, super lame.
But Jenn
herself is kind of lame. Yeah.
Don't hate on us. We're not true haters.
Listen, I liked Jenn a lot during Joey's season. Then she became the Bachelorette, and it was all downhill. And then the stuff that transpired post, the season concluding has just made her look worse and worse and worse. I did see her introduction teaser video for Dancing with the Stars, and it was more of the same victim mentality nonsense. Yeah, she is who she is. But with respect to her dance,
I can start us.
Okay, go ahead.
Just so I just see where you're going. I'm gonna cut you off at the pass. This was rough. This was a rough one.
Boring,
It was
uninspired.
it just felt like she was like fumbling along. She didn't look smooth. Foxtrot is so light and airy, and it just felt so heavy and bogged down and like a little sloppy.
Felt like Sasha was just like, that's his name, Sasha.
Sasha.
Felt like Sasha was just dragging her through it. It felt like
She
she
seemed
just
like she was so in her head. I wonder what was going on.
Not a lot of. It didn't feel fluid. Didn't feel graceful. But even just the routine itself was it. It didn't. The routine didn't connect to the music. It didn't connect to really the dance itself. Like it just it just didn't match anything.
Right. Well, when you compare it to Joey's the music and choreography, Danny's music and choreography, we also watched Derek and Haley Huff's performance, which was amazing. And
they're both professionals, right? Yeah, that was those are true professionals.
Yeah. And like the pairing of that choreography, like with that music, it's like that is what we're looking for. We as viewers are looking for on this dedication night. And I think maybe it's partially the little kind of like parasocial connection to Taylor Swift that made this just feel so disconnected.
Yeah, I mean, we already know I don't like Foxtrot as a dance. I wrote down things like she looked the least in control that she's looked at any point in time. I've been saying like her first week was really rough. Then she had a couple of good weeks. Last week, she really looked strong.
Yeah.
And then this week, it was back to week one. It was just, it was rough. It wasn't pretty. The dance itself was boring. The routine was boring. You know, the one highlight I would say is the final move where it kind of did the spin and then slid her out and she slid into kind of standing up.
Yeah.
I did love that. It was well executed,
Sure.
but that wasn't enough to carry.
Alona Mar did the same move. I watched hers too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a miss across the board for me.
And this is where the judges agreed with us. Their feedback was essentially her feet were essentially not closing on her turns. The dance didn't seem smooth, that she lost her frame, and that the main feedback is like to tighten up as the competition progresses. Like it's just a little sloppy. And with ballroom, you have to be really precise. I think the song was a miss in a way. Like terrible. This was Jenn's moment to do All Too Well. Like I'm shocked she didn't do All Too Well. Song? Yes. Okay. Because I felt like that would have fit her narrative so well. And like good for her, maybe for not taking that opportunity to talk about essentially like a situationship where she was kind of jerked around a lot and like a breakup that really haunted her. Could have been great for Jenn, and it's such a great song. Anyway, despite our feedback and the judges' feedback, Jenn scored 8s across the board, so still a pretty good score.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my God, these judges. They are lenient.
Let's go on to the star of the evening.
I mean, look, Joey did a Viennese waltz. Love the Viennese waltz. There was some rough moments.
Dedicated to Kelsey.
Of course it was. Yeah. So basic, right?
What else is he going to dedicate it to?
His parents, the Bachelor franchise for, the girl that didn't pick him so that he got to be the Bachelor and meet
Charity.
Kelsey. Yeah, I mean, there are other options in there. But all right, yeah. So Viennese waltz, my favorite of the smooth dances, the most challenging of the smooth dances. We've talked about it in the past. There were some rough moments. Technically speaking, he had some serious problems with his feet. I felt like he was doing a lot of fast, short patterning steps instead of nice, long, smooth steps. That being said, I don't know how, but he did manage to like get around. He did manage to tether himself, despite the fact that the steps he was taking did not feel like they were big enough or smooth enough to actually get him into position. But he did manage to get into position, and so it looked pretty competent. He's leaning heavily on the spinning, rotating step that he does in almost every routine, and good for him. That is a very challenging step, and he has like mastered it very quickly. And so, yeah, lean on that thing because it's a beautiful step. It's a crowd pleaser. It looks good. It's highly technical, and you're executing it great. Do it in every routine, right? Again, of the 3 songs, this is the song that I'm least sick of, so I appreciated that. And I thought the routine itself was a beautiful
Yeah.
Beautiful routine.
I could have watched it over and over again. It was really, really good. I was really,
And
really
his
impressed.
pro is
Yeah.
excellent.
Oh my gosh.
What's her name?
Jenna Johnson.
Okay, she's fantastic as well.
Yeah. I mean, I loved it. I loved her dress. I loved the way that they were coordinated.
Mhm.
Their choreography was great. Like she understood the beats of the music and paired the tricks, dips and tricks.
Great musicality to the routine.
It was really good.
Mhm.
Really good.
Yeah, I mean, this is the best routine that I've seen this season.
Yeah.
Not of Joey, of all the
I
routines.
agree.
And I don't think it's particularly close.
It's very good. I mean, we haven't seen all of the routines this season. So
no, I've seen all the routines of these three competitors.
Yeah, no, of course. This was far and away Joey's best performance. And Joey is the strongest dancer of the three of them.
Yeah.
He got 9s across the board.
I think that's fair. Again, if we're judging him on a bronze 1-2 category, I think that's very fair.
The biggest piece of feedback was a slight glitch during the small steps.
I'm not really sure what
they noticed when like when the steps are meant to be the shorter steps that those aren't executed as well.
Gotcha. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely interested to see where he goes, but he could win this thing.
I've never watched a show, so I don't know what the rest of the competition, what the standard level is here, but for somebody who's never danced before, and I presume that most people on this have never danced before, I would have a hard time thinking that many people are better than him. Like he's pretty fantastic right out of the gate, right? Now, I guess my question would be: are they judging on like a curve? Is it like if somebody is like 80 years old, they're obviously cannot compete with Joey, the tennis pro, who's 28 or 30 or however old he is, right? So like how are they accounting for that?
No, yeah, I don't really understand the judging and how some people like what 8s across the board look like for one dance couple versus another. Like they seem starkly different. So I don't actually know.
Well, we know that, and this is sort of the dirty little secret of dance competitions is that the judging is pretty much all rigged. Like there's a lot of funniness to who wins and why they win, and it's not always as clear cut as you would think it would be, which is frustrating. We've experienced that many times. And we've been the beneficiaries at times where we've won competitions. We're like, I don't know if we really won that. And then we've lost competitions where it was like, there's no way. We were clearly miles ahead of everybody else out there. And so it's just it's a weird, dance judging is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.